Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Today's shir is being sponsored for all the Shvuyim, the kidnapped, for the safe return, for the injured, for a healthy recovery, for all the Niftarim, Shalom Aleichem, how are you, all the way from Baltimore. Let's do today a kapitel we haven't done, but it's one of the three kapitals that everybody's saying, kapitel Pei Gimel. It's a long one. It has double the amount of psukim as the others. So you know what? We could say it together. We don't have to do one. We'll say it together. We'll say it slow. Kapitel Pei Gimel. Shir mizmor la'asaf Elohim al domiloch al techrash v'al tishkoitei ki hine yoivecha yemayun umisanecha nosu roish al amcha yarimu soid v'isyoatzu al sifunecha Amru lechu v'nechachidei migoy v'lo yizacher shem Yisrael oid ki no yatzu levi achtav alecha bris yichroisu alei edoim v'ishmeilim mayav v'hagrim Gvol v'amoy v'amalek peleshes im yoshvei tzor Gam ashur nilvoi imam hayu zroya livnei lo yitzelo Asei lohem ki midyon ki tzisro chirivin benachal kishoy Nishmedu vein doir hayu doimen lo adamo Shisei moy nidvei moy koirei v'chazei v'chuzevach v'chuzamuna kol nisichei moy Asher omru nirash alonu eis na'ois Elohim Eloi hai shisei moi chagalgal kikash lifnei ruach Keish tivar yoar chlovot alei torim Kein tirdefeim b'sarecha uv'sufos chos v'aleim Malei fneim koloin v'yakshu shimcha adonoi Yevoishu v'yibalu adiyad v'yachberu v'yoivedu V'yedu ki ato shimcha adonoi levadecha elyon al kol oretz Achenu kol beis Yisrael anesunim b'tzaro v'shivyo Oim debem bayom ubem b'yabosho Hamokim yirachim aleihem v'yitzim b'tzaro l'rvacha Me'afei l'liyoiro u'mishiv l'gula Hashto baglo v'zman koriv v'nimar omein You shouldn't know for any more tzaras. Our boy say the terrible news came in from Eretz Yisrael today that the Gdol Rosh Shivas Baruch Mordechai Rachi gave back his neshama today. I just mentioned the other day with the spitz of his hat. He's in by the Gan. There's a lot that he contributed to the shir with his wisdom and his jokes and his humor. It's a tremendous loss for Klal Yisrael. Rebelli Shlita, I joined the Kiddushin Daf Daled, and you just recently quoted a humorous statement from the Shiva Baruch Mordechai Rachi Ytzchak Levracha about the top of his yarmulke. The fresh, unfortunate, difficult news of his ptira this morning hurts a lot. His Nechemia for me personally is a shining example of serving Hashem, not only as a genuine gadol about Torah, but also and especially with making Torah geshmak. That was him. Everything's geshmak. With every facet of extremely colorful personality through which he was able to reach so many that no one else could reach. Again, here's Baruch Mordechai Zeichat Tzadik Levracha. He's 94 years old. To me, your shir and the way you use your koichas and how as a result you're able to reach so many is a great tribute to Lin Shmasi. Oh, we didn't start that yet. Okay, fine. Don't worry. Shkoyach. May I have been more Hatzlocha with you using intimately colorful personalities, sharing the Shema Torah with many, many more, and so many already reach. Amen. My own status, Baruch Hashem, I'm now taken, as you first suggested, Shamshi's example of an incident of Pesruli Chazara. And let that be his chus for achdus, deliver us, Beis Hashem, from this torah Ya'akov, keep a geschmack. Dov Wachman, first say the Roish Chabura, an Iyon guy, Lakewood, New Jersey, Yasher Koyach. This is a beautiful ad that Dov Harris put together in London. He does phenomenal work. He's doing his part. Here's that famous picture of the Chayal learning Torah. He's doing it. Are you doing yours? Learn in the schus of the injured and for the return of the kidnapped. I have to say, Yesher Koyach Gadol to Avremi Cohen, who woke up at 4 a.m. I spoke to him an hour ago, so he was up. He was trying to stay up through the night. I told him, don't be crazy, go to sleep. He said, no, I want to be up. And we called him, and it sounded like he had just fallen asleep. He chapped a rain. So it's unbelievable the amount of different things that different people do behind the scenes that we don't even know. Mark Ashkenazi, who's been doing this every day, he's on a flight. He'll be back tomorrow for tomorrow's shir. Tomorrow, 2 o'clock, right? All right, so Baba Kama is starting November 4th. Rabbi say a message from Rabbi Leifman. Here we go.
Hi, my name is Shimi Leifman from Manchester, and I'm super excited to be joining the Shabbos of Achdus and Chizuk next week, Be'ez Hashem. I've been Rebelli for 2.5 years, fantastic daf. It has totally transformed my life, and I've been able to transform other people's lives as well through getting people to join and doing all different things. So,
oh, shoots. I want to stop it. It doesn't stop. No, oh, you bad boy. We have to hear the whole thing again? I have to hear the whole thing. I want to stop to say that look how serious he is. This guy's a professional joke maker. I wasn't disappointed.
Totally transformed my life, and I've been able to transform other people's lives as well through getting people to join and doing all different things. So we don't advertise and share about Stenders. Sorry. So yeah, super excited. Looking forward to meeting everybody. If you haven't signed up, sign up, because this is a Shabbos you do not want to miss. Take care.
Rabbi say, if Shimi's coming all the way from Manchester and you're in the tri-state area or in Chicago, you gotta come. You gotta come. This is a bacher. His name is Baruch Foreman. He comes to the shir every single day, and you're able to see, if you saw him a year ago and today, he literally, his life has transformed. He stays after shir and he learns another daf in the Shnai Mikra, and he became a serious guy. He was in the army, last year, and because of the situation, so they called him up, and here he is.
So I just got back from base. I'm off for 24 hours, and I really just got to say thank you for everyone who helped out, bring stuff while I'm on base, and now you see all this. Got this Leatherman beef jerky. I want to thank Donnie Fine and the Fine family and the MDY family and everyone just helping us. We really feel the support. We do have a long journey ahead of us, and really, just some really amazing. We really appreciate it.
So Donnie Fine and all the chesed that Donnie does, they went out there and we made a barbecue for them, a whole thing. So Be'ez Hashem will come back healthy and stronger than ever and not missing any daf. He told me it's very difficult to learn over there. And the guy in the center is Eli Rosen. He also does the daf every day, and he worked for me for the past 2 months until he was called up literally just 2-3 days ago. He's been working every single day for me full time, but also doing the daf in the morning. Here he is, Rabbi said, the guy in the center, Eli Rosen.
Good morning, Rabbi Sai.
So, Mamish, our brothers on the front lines. Okay, not to forget, Shabbos of Achdus. What I want to show over here, it says all the way in the bottom, Lilu nishmas hakdoshim anertzochim Hashem yikum damam l'refuas haptzuim b'seich Rochel Yisrael l'shichur hachatufim ha'afela la'oira. So I want to thank Nathan Kamiansky, Fishel, Grandview, and Madison Title for putting this together. To speak to some of the people that were speaking to me. From day one, when we decided to do the Shabbos, we knew it was going to be a losing proposition. There's no way you can make money. Maybe there's a way to make money in this if we charge more money and I don't know what. But the bottom line is, it was always intended to be a weekend of achdus, of chizuk, of torah, celebrating torah. And in our situation, I can speak for myself, I know many other people, this matzav that we have right now is bringing us down. So yes, we have to give tzedakah, and we have to help out the soldiers and this, and send them vests and goggles and all the good stuff, and food and bizli. But we also owe it to ourselves to take care of ourselves and bring ourselves up so that we can help others. If you're down, then it's hard to be mechazik others. It's designed to be a Shabbos of chizuk, to bring ourselves up. We're permitted to celebrate Simchas HaTorah and the tremendous achievement of finishing half a Shas, finishing an entire Seder Nashim, finishing a Masechta, to give us chizuk to go weiter. There's two different things. Yes, they're over there in the tzara. We spoke to the G'daylim and they said 100% go further. Go with it. Because from day one, it wasn't intended to be a cellulos, we're going to dance and sing and eat sushi. That wasn't the thing. It was all about getting together and be mechazik each other, one year to another. So Beis Hashem is going to be a tremendous Shabbos. The Masechta is sponsored by the Lakewood and Lebovic families, Lakewood, New Jersey, because torah and achdus are the best segula. The Masechta is sponsored for the unity of Am Yisrael, achdus. Parents Achoidesh, Linishmas Chaim Bas Yosef. Parents Achoidesh, Hatzlocha L'zechus Yosef Mayer ben Rochel and yidden worldwide. Parents Shavua, this is the last day. Nechemia Worcman. Linishmas Perl Blomã Basar of Chaim Yitzchak Zecher Tzadik Levro okay. Linishmas, I just noticed it now. Linishmas Ramosha Chaim ben Reb Ya'akov Tzvi Halevi Zechroina Levrocha. YOU Reuven. Natalie and Victor Kraiem, something like that, in honor of Gedalia ben Asiya Gustavo Furman. The Kravetz Family, Lili Nishmas Leo Bas Shmula Koyen Ola Sholem on our 50th yard today. Binyomin Wahrhaftig, in memory of Yosef Yeshayid David ben Ya'akov Mordechai Olav Sholem, and for the schus to all who need. Parnas Hayoim, third one, in honor of Reuven Klein, Moti and Fishel Gross. Is that one of you? That's you? You're in there?
No. I'm friends with Fishel, though.
Oh, everybody is. For incredible Batmori and achdus Archim, for a visiting MDY London member. We are one very fortunate big family. Thank you, Reuven, Moti and Fishel. In the art of the month, Yosef and Chai Sarah for all the schusim that come from supporting Limudat Torah. Rabbi Isai, we are holding on the bottom of Ayin Daled Amud Aleph. Amud Beis. Ayin Daled Amud Beis. Torah Rabbana. There's 5 lines to the bottom. Let me ask Stam a question. Let's see if the Ilam is with me over here. It says in the Torah that an Amoini cannot be part of our nation forever, for 10 years. So what happens if an Amoini becomes a ger? Becomes a ger. What happens? Is the ger is chal? Is it a ger? What is it?
Why can't they convert? He says he can't marry. It doesn't say anything about him convert.
Okay. Does everybody agree with him? Huh? Rabbi Chil, what do you say? I'll tell you what the nafkimin is. What about his... Huh? Can't be part of the Gal, but maybe two Amoinu will marry an Amoinus and they'll have a kid, and the kid, I don't know, not maybe the son is a problem, the daughter not. Hey, what do you guys say? The answer is that he's right. An Amoini cannot come into our Kahal, but if he decides to be Gehom a Ger, he's a Ger, he's a Jew. And that's it. So let's see, says the Gemara Torah Rabbana. Ben Teisha Shonim v'yoyim echad, a child who's 9 years old, in other words, he's Roy Lebia, Ger Amoini Umayavi, he's a Ger. Says Mefurish in the Gemara, Amoini Umayavi could be a Ger. The Torah says Amoini Umayavi, how come they can never be part of our nation? Asher lekidmu eschem balechem u'b'mayim. When you pass by over there, they didn't come out with bread and water. Ask the Rosh Hashiva, Reb Baruch Mordechai Zrachi, Zeichet Tzadik Livrocha. Why do they need water? Why do they need bread? They had man. They're good. They had steaks, they had pizza, they had everything they need. Ice cream, all the good stuff. Sushi. What do they need? Lechem and mayim. So he says, because, yes, they had man. But when a guest comes, you have to give him that feeling, that geschmack feeling. You're a guest, here, take this. Even though he has in his suitcase, he's full, he packed his bag. No, you give him that feeling of hospitality. And they didn't do that. And because of that, they're punished forever. Forever. You hear this? Forever. To give the guest a gishmak feel. They said a terrible story. I'm mamish on a roll here with my terrible stories. There was a kid that came, Shalom Aleichem, kid that came to surprise his father. He had a little bit of a fallout with Yiddishkeit, and last year Simchas Torah decided to come to shul. He put on a yarmulke. He looked a little strange, with a little earring or whatever, but he had his yarmulke. He was being respectful, and he came to shul to dance, and he was dancing, and he felt that people were cold to him. He didn't feel the warmth of the like, oh, this is the guy that caused his parents all this aggravation, the bum of the shul. This year, Simchas Torah, he decided to do akavas somewhere else. He decided to do akavas in Kibbutz Yarim, and he was murdered. This is one of the stories running around. There's actually a lot of those, they call them the Noshrim, the kids that went off. A lot of them were part of the group that got killed. So, just a thought, like, what would happen? What if? It's not a good thing to think about. What if? But perhaps if they were a little warmer to him and a little this, who knows? Okay. Says the Gemara weiter. So you have a ger who's 9 years old. Amoini umayavi mitzri v'adoimi kusi v'nasan. We're going to talk about a kusi later on. He's a nasan. Also, they fooled Klal Yisrael. The kusim, we're not sure if they're real gerim, ger emes, ger arayis. We'll talk about it later. Chalal, father Zakayin married a grusha, came out of Chalal. Mamzer, we spoke about yesterday. Shabo ala kihenes v'alalivia v'bas Yisrael pasluo. They made her, whether one of these three women, one of them is a kohenes, one is a Levia, one is a Yisrael. A ger, amoini, these gerim that are not appropriate for the kahal, because they're amoini, mitzri, they create a psul in the woman. So if she's a woman who eats truma today, because she's a kohenes, she can't eat truma anymore. If she's a Yisraelis, she doesn't eat truma, but she can no longer marry a kohen. She's psula to the kuna. She can't marry. Why? She had a relationship with a ger, not a regular ger, a ger amoini. So let's see what it looks like over here. I'll show you this a little later, but here's what we have right now. Amoini umayavi creates a psul. They ruin it for the wife. If they're married to a woman, she becomes pasul for truma. She becomes pasul to marry a kohen later on. Let's say he dies, she's an almana, she can't marry a kohen. Okay, that's Tanakama. Ruin it for the wife. Let's look what Rabbi Yosef says on this chart. You see it on the chart over there? I don't know. Not yet? How about now? Yes. Oh, okay. Top one is Amoinu Meyavi, ruin it for the wife. Rabbi Yosef says, very, very similar. And we're going to have to see what the distinction is. And so Rabbi Shimon also says something very, very similar. If the son that comes out of this union, let's say you marry an Amoinu Meyavi, what happens to the son? It's no good. So if the kid is no good, then the wife is also no good. So l'chari the identical thing. Again, Tanakh says if the Amoini Moyavi marries a woman, then the kid, the woman is possible. She can't marry a kohen. What does Rabbi Yosef say? If they had a kid and that kid would be no good, so she herself is no good. She herself can't marry a kohen. Saying the same thing. Let's go one step weiter. Rabbi Shimon Gamliel says, if you could marry the daughter, then you can marry the mother. But if you cannot marry the daughter, then you can't marry the mother. Basically, all three are saying the same exact thing. So the Gemara is going to say, no. They're not saying the same thing. There's a case where you can marry the daughter, but you can't marry the son. What's that case? Anybody? Why?
Because the mother, she's a Gior, she can't marry Cohen,
but
the daughter can.
And what about the son? The son can marry a kohenes. Where is it that the daughter is different? In Amoini Mayavi. And Amoini Mayavi's daughter, you could marry her,
Oh, yeah.
but you can't marry the son. What about Zari Pasul? The Gemara is going to tell you that let's see, there is a small distinction between each and every one. They sound almost identical, all three shitas, and that's the Gemara's job now, is to break it down and show us that they're not identical. Okay, so let's see inside.
Wait, just one question.
Yeah.
The pasuk says Lo Yavo Amoni Moavi B'Kalasha.
Right.
Okay. So back to our opening question. So how does you would think by that statement it means you couldn't be a ger? How do you learn that? How else could they become Kalasham if they don't?
No, because Lo Yavu Kal Hashem is for them to marry in, but they can be Jewish. They make themselves all the mitzvahs.
Marriage. You say it's tofes.
They cannot marry into our nation. Their daughters could, like Rus, and they themselves can't. But they could become Gerim. They could do everything like a Jew. Bris Milah, Tefillin, Shabbos, everything. They learn in yeshiva. They just can't marry into the Kal. Lo Yavu B'Kal Hashem. I thought it would be a little bit of a chiddush to some people. They could. And what if they get married, they have a kid, the kids are Jewish. So it's an afkemina. The kid doesn't have to be misgayer. She right away goes and marries into the Jewish community. The daughter. They have a daughter. Two Amoini and Moyavas get married as Gerim. They have a daughter. Send her to Beis Yaakov. She marries a regular yeshiva guy. No problem. What's the problem? She doesn't have to make a gerus. She's Jewish. That's the whole. Okay. Weiter. Hold on. Let's go weiter. All these people create a psul in this woman. In other words, she can't eat truma, she can't marry Kraiem. Rabbi Yossi Omer kol shezari pasul, a little bit different. If their child is pasul for kahuna, then that's pasul the wife, the mother becomes pasul. V'chol shein zari pasul, and if it doesn't create, if it's not that bad that the child becomes pasul, then that doesn't pasul the mother. Rabbi Shimon Gamliel says, kol shatanoisei bitoi atanoisei almanosoi. If you could marry the daughter to Kraiem, then you can marry the almana. If a Kraiem cannot marry the daughter, you have to noise almanasai. So now let's go through it. My Ika, actually, let's just leave it on the chart here. My Ika ben Tanakama ben Rabbi Yossi. What in the world is the difference between the two top shitas here? Omer Rabbi Yochanan mitzri sheini Ika ben Nayu. Very, very, okay. It's a little tricky here. It's like a trick question. It's a genius question. I have a situation that a second generation Mitzri who has a child, the child is 100% kosher. So Mamela, look at the words in the second sheet of Rabbi Yossi. If the zera is pasul for kuna, then the mother is pasul. But the second generation Mitzri, the zera is not pasul. Zera is 100% kosher. So Mamela, the mother is also not pasul. That's the nafkimin in that case of a Mitzri, second generation Mitzri. And they both learned the same, they both derived their machlokes from one thing, just they took something else out of it. From what? So take a look over here. The what? The Rashi brings down, it should have said lo yachel. What's lo yichalel? Two lameds over there. Listen to this. This might be a chiddush to people also. Do you know that to be a chalal, you don't have to be born into it. You could become a chalal after you're alive. So if a woman is a divorcee, let's say, and she marries a Kraiem, she lo yichalel. The Kraiem with the extra lamed has the power to make her a halala. She's mechalaler. In other words, he passes her, gives her a psul. He himself, nothing happens to him. He's pure. He gives her the psul. She's the one that suffers. A Kohen Gadol who marries an almana, he makes her pasal on the spot. So too, anybody that has Bia Bavera makes a psul. Exactly. I learned from him. That what? And he sticks in the word zaroi. where the Tanna Kama doesn't talk about the offspring. If the child is pasul likahuna, then the wife becomes pasul, the mother. And therefore I say my nafkimina is by second generation mitzvah zari pasul, where you don't create nothing happens to the kid because he's a third generation mitzvah, so he's kosher. The third generation they could come into our nation. So according to Rabbi Yossi, that kid is kosher, therefore his mother is kosher. You hear what's going on here? When a kohen has a relationship with a mitzvah sheni, nothing happens to her. Why? Because her kid is kosher. And it goes by the kid. The kid indicates what we should say to the mother. If the kid is a third generation mitzvah, which is kosher, so the second generation mother doesn't become pasul. Now Reb Shimon Gamliel says, takes it one step further, a little bit different. He says, if you can marry that daughter, then you can marry that kohen's almana. What's the difference between the second and the third shita? Which we already discussed. So let's just see inside the same idea. It goes by just like a kohen gadol who marries an almana. As we said before, it has to do if the child is pasul, and just like a kohen gadol's almana marries an almana, the child is pasul, so too the almana is pasul, she can't marry any another kohen. Reb Shimon says, yeah, you're right, like a kohen gadol b'almana. All his children, boys and girls, boys and girls. That this excludes one case of an Amoni Mayavi, that the daughters are kosher. And if the daughter is kosher, says Reb Shimon Gamliel, then the mother doesn't become pasul. Fine. Baruch Hashem, we have this drasha. Because if not, it wasn't so pasha then. Right? Boaz didn't know. He claimed Amoni V'Lemiyavis. And therefore he married Rus. And because of that, we have David, Shlomo, the whole thing. Yeah?
What if a second generation woman marries a second generation man with a kid? The kid is okay, but the woman's not okay, is she?
Why not?
Because she's a second generation. And she's not.
She herself is a second generation, yeah.
Both second generation.
Right.
Isn't their kid kosher and the woman's not?
But the daughter become here.
That's what
Would the daughter want? Yeah, the daughter would kosher. Yeah, the daughter for sure kosher. For sure.
So that doesn't fit.
What changes? Just because her husband is a second generation? What changed?
No, because you were talking about only the man was second generation, and the woman was just a regular Jew. And now if they're both second generation.
No. I was talking about if the woman was... No, if the man, you're right, yeah.
So if the woman's a regular Jew,
yeah,
she's not being contaminated by the man. But if she's already a second generation, how is she going to get uncontaminated? By having
her?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so it wouldn't work on her, yeah. Rav Chizda, Hakol Moedim Almanas Isa, Shepsul Kuna. Everybody agrees. So Isa, we had the other day, the definition of Isa is dough. Dough means there's a lot of ingredients, there's a little bit of a problem here. This is a suffix. So if a woman marries an Isa, Shepsul Kuna. In other words, so let me show you what this means, according to Rashi. So we had this case where here's the guy. Yeah? You're able to see this? He throws a get and it lands exactly in the center. In his rishus and her rishus. Safek Karev La, Safek Karev La. Okay. So that's the get that she has. The guy, the Yerushalmi dude, he goes to Olam Hamas. What is this woman? Is she a divorcee or she's an almana? Big difference. If she's a divorcee, right. So if she's a divorcee, she can't marry Kraiem. If she's an almana, she can marry Kraiem. She can't marry Kraiem Gadol, she can marry a Kraiem. So we don't know. She goes ahead and she marries a Kraiem. So she's the kid is we don't know what's going on. She's a suffix. Almanas Isa Shepsula Kuna. Now she had a child, and we don't know if the child is a chalal or not, and he married a woman. Okay, it goes further than this case. Step number one is that we have a woman who's a suffix, and she married a kohen. And then they had a child. What is that child? Suffix chalal. Yeah? He's a suffix chalal. And he got married. Oh. So the Gemara calls it a sfek sveka. It's not really suffix. It's a once removed suffix. It's not a double suffix. We're going to see. It's in the category of sfek sveka. So it says the Gemara like this. Again, we don't know what happened to her. We don't know if she's divorcee or an almana. She marries a kohen and they have a child. So the child is a suffix. It's based on her suffix. It's really one suffix. If she wasn't allowed to marry him, so the kid is a chal. If she was allowed, it's really one suffix. But it's one removed. And it says like this. So this kid who's a suffix chal gets married, not his mother, another generation later, and she's an almana. She's pasal kuhuna because maybe she married a chal. Says Gemara, who's the most mekel? Rabbi Shimon Gamliel. And now we have 3 tanoim, right? And it says here, just to see in this case, in this chart, who's the most mekel? All the way in the bottom, Rabbi Shimon Gamliel. What does he say? He says, if I can marry the daughter, I can marry the almana. He comes to exclude this case. The almana is possible. Why? Because he can't marry the daughter, so he can't marry the almana. So the Gemara, but there are those who do argue this not. The almana of this suffix chal guy is mutter to marry after the suffix chal guy dies. We should have done a better chart, a longer chart, but okay, busy with other stuff. He's working on the Kiddushin book, etc. So almana sisa shekshera l'kuna. I think he's up the whole night tonight, just working on that book. Does anybody like that book? Does anybody use the book? You do? Okay, a couple. Okay, good. Sean, what's your name again? I know you. Okay. It's not your first time. Okay. My timer have a sfek sveka. Sfek sveka l'kula. You hear what's going on here? Because they hold she's mutter to marry a kohen because the kid is a kid of a suffix woman, and it's his wife that married a suffix kid from a suffix woman. So it's like removed. So kula. Okay, so we learned the new sugya. Rabbi say new sugya.
What about her eating true?
Oh, let's go weiter. Vadam bevadam mutter. Vadam bevadam mutter. Says in the Mishnah that like a mamzer and a nasan can marry each other, but what about a suffix, a shtuki, and a mamzer are not allowed to marry each other? Says Rebbe Lezer. Omar Rav Yehuda, Omar Rav, remember, this is Rav talking. Halacha ki Rebbe Lezer, or Rebbe Eliezer. The halacha is that a suffix cannot marry a vadai. Again, a shtuki, that we don't know who his father is, cannot marry a mamzer. Can I read the Gamei Shmuel, Omar Li? Hillel shoyna asar yuchsin olam mebava v'kulam atarm love zeh. Shmuel argues on Rav. Yeah? Throughout Shas, Rav and Shmuel constantly argue. Here's another case. Rav says that a suffix cannot marry a vadai, and Shmuel says, what are you talking about? It says mefurish in our first Mishnah, in our parak, that asara yuchsin olam mebava v'kulam atarm love zeh, meaning, Rashi explains, those who are asur, the asurim, not the kohen, can marry a mamzer, chas v'shalom. Kula mutar love says Rashi. All the Asurim people in the Mishnah, the Shtukim, the Asufim, the Mamzerim, they're mutar love zeh. But Amres, Halach Rebbe Lezer, you're saying that a suffix cannot marry a mamzer. A suffix could marry a mamzer, says Shmuel. The problem is, says Gemara, Rami the Rav, Rami the Shmuel. Now that you know what Rav says a suffix cannot marry a vadai, and Shmuel says a suffix could marry a vadai. Says Gemara, I have a problem, contradiction. And the only way out of this contradiction is that we're going to flip the names. The Idmar, Arusa She'ibra, you have a woman who accepted Kiddushin from a Chasan. In other words, she's a Eishesish. Just they didn't do a Chuppah yet. And suddenly, Shalom Aleichem, she's pregnant. Rav Amar Vlad Mamzer, Shmuel Amar Vlad Shtuki. What are you thinking, Lamaisa?
Why can't there be a number? Because
Oh, that's what I wanted somebody to ask. Thank you. And that's one of the svaras in the Gemara. He's saying, why do you have to assume the worst? Maybe it's the chassan. Okay, you're right, but maybe it's not the chassan.
The whole thing about going to the father's house.
Yeah. Right. Shmuel says Safik, Rav says it's Vadai. Rav Omar Vlad Mamzer. So Lemaisa, Rav is saying that even though this kid is a shtuki, he's a mamzer. Umutter b'mamzeres. This kid, okay, she's muberes. Do you know for a fact he's a mamzer? No way. So what category is he really? Halachically a shtuki. He's a suffix. He calls him a mamzer, but he's a suffix. And Rav says that this kid can marry a mamzeres. That means that a suffix can marry a vadai. We said that Rav Paskins, the suffix cannot marry a vadai. All of a sudden over here, Rav says the suffix could marry a vadai. Ushmul Amar Havlat Shtuki v'Osib Mamzeres. He says a suffix cannot marry a mamzer. What's going on? It's the flip. Hey, Puch, Rav Amar Havlat Shtuki, Ushmul Amar Havlat Mamzer. So one way out of it is to say that we have to actually switch the names around. Says Gemara Tati Lamali, what are any two machloikis in between Rav and Shmuel regarding the first? We had a machloikis by us in our sugya. Rav says that Allah is like Rebbe and Shmuel screams Chai v'Kayim. What do you mean? Our Mishnah says before it's not like that. And then we have another machloikis between the two of them, Rav and Shmuel. A pregnant arusa, is the kid a mamzer shtuki, and could he marry a vadai or not? It's the same machloikis twice.
Did they ever ask her who the father is? Like we have these other things.
Yeah, we're going to see that also. If we're going to say only by our sugya that Rav says Allah is like Rebbe Eliezer, at the end of the day, most of the world is mutter. She's not engaged, so most of the world is mutter. She's just a shtuki. The kid is just a shtuki. We don't know who the father is, but it doesn't mean that there's a great reason to believe that the kid is a mamzer. In a case where she's engaged and she's pregnant, the entire world besides her chassan is puzzle. Maybe he'll admit that the kid is a mamzer. It makes a lot of sense, huh? Oh, thank you. It's off? Okay, I don't see it on my screen, but okay. Something changed it. That was your svara, that there's a good reason to believe that the kid is a kosher kid. They did an isser, they shouldn't be together, but he's not a mamzer. You could be toilet in the chassan. Okay, fine. This is svara here and here. There's in other words, you made an assumption. So now I saw a story once that there was the famous Ytzchak Mevorka, I think they call him. Every chassid knows who that is. He was like a Talmud of the Lebovic Rebbe. So he walked into a city, and a woman who was an aguna for many years, she mistook him for her husband. And she comes running over to him with a stick, and she starts beating him. Where were you all these years? How dare you? She's beating him, and they had to explain to her, no, this is not your husband. They proved it. Okay. The point, and then he gave her a bracha. He said, listen, you didn't hit me, you hit your husband. He deserved it. He's a bad guy. Okay. Fine. Like, your intent was to hit your husband. You hit your husband. Fine. The point is that sometimes we rush to make assumptions. We think we understand, we think we know, and then we come and we blame things that don't exist. So that's similar to over here. So Gemara says, you assumed that when he says he's a mamzer, he's mamish a mamzer, and he's a sofik mamzer. Okay. Well, my mamzer to come Rav, lav mutab mamzeres. He didn't mean that he's allowed to marry a mamzeres, that this sofik kid from this pregnant engaged woman is mutter to marry a mamzeres. That's not what he meant. Elodasa Vas Yisrael. She said, because we don't know what's going on here, now he can't love a bakal. And Shmuel says the same exact thing. He's a shtuki and also in Bas Yisrael. I know the Rab. They're saying the same exact thing. What's the machlokes? So attempt number one is to say no. Shmuel meant to say that we say be quiet when it comes to kuna. You can't be quiet. Pshita Hashem yidden Yisrael b'shatkin elei yidden kuna b'baya. If you can't be part of Klal Yisrael, of course you can't be a kain. So this is the final attempt that we say. Listen, Mister, what happened was, imagine a couple gets engaged. All of a sudden, the kala gets pregnant, and then she gives birth. And then the chassan father guy, he dies. So the kid that she gives birth to says, wait a minute, that's my father. I'm entitled to Yerusha. And we tell him, no, we don't know who your father is. It's a very sad situation. So who says he's your father? We don't know. It's very possible that he's not your father. Your father's and you're a mamzer, and you get zero. Says more pshita, but we don't know who the father is, so why should he have a shear? The toughest. He grabbed onto the Yerusha. So now he's a muhzak. It's like a kind of thing. So, nevertheless, we take it away from him.
Does a woman not believe that?
Oh, so we're going to see in a second. Yeah, that's what he was asking. We check by the mother, the kosher nevalti. Nemenes, then she's believed. Says Gemara, we already learned this once. It's not. She's pregnant, and we ask her, who's the father? And she says, in other words, is a kosher. She's believed. She's not believed. That she's believed. So why do we have to repeat it again? That's only a woman who's suddenly pregnant. She wasn't engaged before. She's a pnuya who got pregnant. But over here we're talking about an engaged girl, that the whole world is also to her. Maybe she shouldn't be believed. She's believed. Rabbi says that answers your question. She's believed. But if she says, I don't know, then we can't assume anything. So let me just show you real quickly. So, till this very day, there's a whole bunch of people in Eretz Yisrael that claim to be Kusim. Kusim is a nation that came to Eretz Yisrael. And throughout Shas, there's a question whether or not they're legitimate Gerim. Do they do it sincerely or they're fakers? They certainly got Geros. They had Geros. And later on in history, they did Avodah Zarah and everything else. So, Chachamim, I think it was David maybe even, just said, forget it. They're done. Till this very day, you see here pictures. They have a Sefer Torah. This is them. They have some Torah. They do Korban Pesach. They're big into the Korban Pesach. People from Eretz Yisrael go up there. It's a whole scene. It's very interesting stuff to see. So, and they tell you they're the real, we're the fake, the whole thing. Okay. So, a kusi, very interesting halacha. It says over here, like 5 lines from the bottom, Tanya v'chein Rebbe Elazar Omer, kusi lo yisa kusis. One kusi should not marry another kusi. My taima, what could be the reason for this? If they have the same exact status, I'm a kusi, you're a kusis, why can't we get married? I don't understand. A ger that marries a giyaris, and they have children. What are the children? Gerim. And then you get married to other Gerim, and the other Gerim, and more Gerim, and more Gerim. 10 generations of pure Gerim breeds. Okay? They're all in the MBA, they're all mamish, they're one after another. They're Gerim, 10 generations. That's it. No more mamzerim after 10 generations. For 10 generations will allow it, but after 10 generations, not. Why? But Lamais is the pure Gerim. The answer is because other Jews won't know. And they'll say they're marrying mamzerim. So what's going on there? How's a Jew? Nobody knows the history. Who in this room could go back 10 generations? Very few people could say, yeah, I could also go back 10 generations. We have a yichus to the machzah shekel, whatever. Most people don't, it stops, 3-4 generations, finished. So imagine them. They see generation upon generation. These guys are learning in all the best yeshivas, the rabbanim, dayanim, everything, the whole thing. And all of a sudden, Shalom Aleichem, the chasana of my son to mamzeres. It's 100% legal. But that's it. Atkan. There's a gvul. 10 generations. So Memela, says the Gemara, the same problem with a kusi. Kusi and kusis, after so many generations, it's going to cause issues. No more. They can't marry each other. Says the Gemara, what's your logic? It may be 4 generations until the Avodah Zarah leaves him. What's the connection? You have a ger who's 10 generations in Klal Yisrael. Everybody forgot everything. Nobody knows anything. They don't know that he's a ger, and he's marrying a famous new mamzeres. So you can't do it. Oh, thank you. Amri Bas Yisrael the Ganasim mamzeres. So it's a big problem because people are going to say that he's marrying a mamzeres. But over here, the 2 kusim are on the same exact level, and why would anybody confuse anything? Whatever this kusi is, that kusi is. What they can say? Oh, this kusi is a Jew and she's not. So it doesn't make any sense. The reason is when Rav Dimi came from Yisrael to Bavel, he said, "Rabbi Lazar like Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Shmuel like Rabbi Kiva, Daf Amud Beis." Oh, hold on. Yeah, I'll show this later. I hope you didn't see it. Oh, here. So, Rabbi Shmuel holds, Rabbi Lazar holds like Rabbi Shmuel, who Rabbi Shmuel holds like Rabbi Kiva. That's the top line I did, okay? It's not so clear. Later on, I'm going to say that Rabbi Lazar holds both like Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbi Kiva. But first we say Rabbi Lazar holds like Rabbi Shmuel, and Rabbi Shmuel holds like Rabbi Kiva. That was Rabbi Lazar suffered like Rabbi Shmuel, Damakusim Gerai. Here, Rabbi, you see this? This is an original piece of art from today. The kusi is getting bit by a lion. That's exactly what happened. What? No, arise is with the Aleph, lion. Arise. That the story was that the lions came and threatened them, so they became gerim. So it's not a sincere gerus; they were forced. You see, he threw his Avodah Zarah out because a lion bit him. Okay, so Nachamal, he holds Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Lazar holds like Rabbi Shmuel that says kusim are goyim; they're not gerim at all. And Rabbi Shmuel savar lo Rabbi Kiva damar ve'eved al ba bas Yisrael mamzer. Oh, so it comes out like this: the kid is a mamzer. So what happens? If the mother is a kusis. The mother, again, a kusi is a guy. And a guy that has relations with a Jew, we hold what? The kid is a mamzer. According to that sheet, the kid is a mamzer. So think about it for a second. If the mother is a kusi, what's the kid? A guy. If the father is a kusi, the father is a kusi, and he marries into Klal Yisrael, what's the kid? A Jew, a mamzer, not Jew, a mamzer, Jewish mamzer. Yeah, we're talking about according to Rabbi Kiva here. I'm talking in Rabbi Kiva. So it comes out a very big nafkamina. You hear the problem? You could have in the kusi, that's not me, is it? Yeah. In this congregation called kusim, we have kids that are mamzerim, because they're Jewish, and we have kids that are goyim. You hear the problem? It's a big problem. Some are goyim because their mother is a kusis. Some are Jewish, mamzerim, because the father is a kusi, and he had relations with a Jew. So if a kusis lady marries a Jewish man, the kid is a mamzer. The kid is a goy. And if a kusi man marries a Jewish lady, then the kid is a mamzer, because Rabbi Kiva holds that a guy who marries a yid, the kid is a mamzer, and kusim are goyim according to Rabbi Shmuel. So we take these 2 shitas and we put them together. We have this major issue. That's why kusi should not marry a kusi, because one kusi could be a mamzer, the other one could be a guy. Could a guy marry a mamzer? Could a mamzer marry a guy? No, a mamzer is a Jew. Problematic for him to get married, but he cannot marry a guy. So if we have a bunch of kusim everywhere, some are goyim and some are mamzerim, we have major problems. Therefore, He says, Lo kusi, Rebbe Eliezer says, a kusi should not marry kusi. As the Gemara, Misover Lo Rebbe Shmuel, Rebbe Kiva. But wait a minute. Your whole chart over here, where is that chart? This one. You said that Rebbe Eliezer holds like Rebbe Shmuel. Rebbe Shmuel holds like Rebbe Kiva. We have a problem. Rebbe Shmuel cannot hold like Rebbe Kiva. Why? Rebbe Shmuel said the name Rebbe Shmuel. How do you know that if a guy or a slave who had relations with the Kraiem Levi Yisrael, they made her apostle, Shenema or Bas Kraiem Kisiya, Almono Grusha, V'zera Einla, Mishi Yeshla Almonos V'gerushin, Yotza V'kechavim V'evet Shein Lo Almonos V'gerushin. There's no Almonos and Gerushin by a guy. As the Gemara, if Rebbe Shmuel holds Rebbe Kiva, Hashtem Mamza Havi, not only he's a true mamzer, you need a pasuk to tell me that the bia creates a psul. The kid is a mamzer. Forget about pasuk. Ella, Rebbe Eliezer Savalok Rebbe Shmuel. Here, so now you go to my chart over here. The second part of the chart where it says Rebbe Eliezer on the bottom. Rebbe Eliezer holds like Rebbe Shmuel and Rebbe Kiva. Not that Rebbe Eliezer holds like Rebbe Shmuel and Rebbe Shmuel holds like Rebbe Kiva. That we prove that Rebbe Shmuel doesn't hold like Rebbe Kiva. But if Rebbe Eliezer himself holds like Rebbe Shmuel, and Rebbe Eliezer himself holds like Rebbe Kiva, then everything is good. That what? Oh, Ella, like in the middle of the Amud. Ella Rebbe Eliezer savar like Rebbe Shmuel, damar kusim ger arayis. He holds that the kusim are goyim. V'savar like Rebbe Kiva, damar Rebbe Kechavim, the same sheet that we had before, but it's Rebbe Eliezer himself that holds both. As the Gemara, another question. Does Rebbe Eliezer really hold Rebbe Kiva that if a guy has relations with a yid, the kid is a mamzer? Here, so here's the case. Rabbi said, a very simple case. This is the first Mishnah in Yevamos. If two Baldwin brothers, Shimon and Reuven and Shimon. Shimon has a daughter that got married to her uncle, which was very, very common in those days. And then the uncle married a second wife, a 5-towner, and then he goes bye-bye. So what's the halacha? The halacha is, the first Mishnah of Yevamos, is that there's no yibum at all. Why? Since a father can have relations with his daughter, obviously, so the co-wife also is pater from yibum. Both of them, one is a erva, one of them is a tzaras erva, no yibum, no chalitza. Bishamai argue. Bishamai say, erva is out of the picture. Forget the erva. But there should be yibum for the tzara of the erva. There should be yibum for the 5-towner. So now that we know that, it's not so important for the sugya, but he says, in order to create a mamzer, there has to be a oynish of kares. Now, Eved who marries a Yisrael, there's no kares. It's Isser. A guy, Isser, but not kares. So says the Gemara, Elok Yasser Reuven. Whatever. The Rashi goes into that. According to it would be a big problem that according to Bishamai, according to some Zerim, Bishamai not. Okay, fine. But Akalpanim, Elok Yasser Reuven Omer B'chia Bar Abba Omer B'Yochan V'Amr Omer Abba Bar Zavda Omer B'Chanina. Oh, this is Givaldik. We just got 3 lines for free. V'Amr Lo Omer B'Yakov Bar Idi Omer B'Yishua Ben Levi. Unless you have to remember it for the Dirshu test. Shalosh Machlokes B'Davar. The reason why a kusi can't marry kusis, there's 3 machlokes in here. Rabbi Shmuel Savar kusim gerim arayim. The kusim are not true gerim. They were scared of the lions with the aleph. The kohanim shenitmu bahem kohanim sulumayu. And the kohanim that mixed up with them were not. They were pasuk kohanim to begin with. Shenemar v'yasu lahem miktsoisam kohanim bamos. The kusim took these kohanim for their bama, their backyard mizbeach. He took the thorns of the nation. So we're going to have to see tomorrow exactly the 3 machlokes here. We'll just read it. Because we're running out of time. Rabbi Kiva holds that these kusim are true gerim. And the kohanim that mixed in with them were good kohanim. The same pasuk. He takes the same word and the same man the Amar. Mikzoisam is not koitzim, but it means the best of the best. They would do yibum to an arusa and say that an asua doesn't need yibum. We'll see Be'ez Hashem tomorrow. Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful day.